All right, let's dive right in. We're going to decode the language of the financial markets. You see all those little green and red bars on a chart? You might think they're just random noise, but they're not. Not at all. They're actually telling a story about a constant ongoing battle between buyers and sellers. And stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll know exactly how to read it. And this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. So many people get into trading and lose, and it's not because they picked the wrong thing to trade, it's because they can't read the action on the chart. They don't speak the language. Today, we're going to fix that. You're going to learn how to see who's winning, who's losing, and who's about to take control of the battlefield just by looking at a chart. You know, to really get this, let's use a little metaphor. I want you to think of the chart as a battlefield. And every single one of those little bars, those candlesticks, they're soldiers. And each soldier has a story to tell about a very specific fight. So, if our chart is a battlefield, we've got to understand the rules of engagement, right? Each one of those candles, those soldiers, represents a clash between two opposing forces. You've got the buyers, who are always trying to push the price up, and you've got the sellers, who are trying to push it right back down. So how long does each little battle last? Well, that's what we call the time frame. Every single candle represents one round of the fight, and you get to decide how long that round is. It could be just 1 minute of action, or 5 minutes, a full hour, or even an entire day. Each candle captures everything that happened in that specific window of time. Now, every single one of these soldiers, or candles, gives us 4 crucial pieces of information. Think of it like a battle report. First, where the fight began, that's the open. Then the absolute highest point the price reached, that's the high. The lowest point it fell to, that's the low. And finally, where the fight ended when the bell rang, that's the close. These 4 points give the candle its unique shape and tell its entire story. Okay, so let's meet the first army on our battlefield, the sellers. You'll know them because they're represented by red candles, which are also called bearish candles. When you see red, you know the sellers are on the attack, and they're pushing things down. The story of a red candle is pretty straightforward. First, the battle opens at the top of that thick part, the body. Then the sellers jump in and start pushing the price down, down, down. Finally, the round ends and the price closes at the bottom of the body, lower than where it started. Simple as that. It's a clear win for the sellers. But what about those thin little lines sticking out of the candle? Those are called wicks, and they tell a fascinating story of rejection. On a red candle, that little upper wick shows us where the buyers tried to make a stand. They tried to push the price up, but the sellers were just too strong. They fought them off, rejected that advance, and slammed the price right back down. Now for the other side of the battle. Let's meet the opposing army, the buyers. They show up as green candles, also called bullish candles. When you start seeing green on the chart, it means the buyers are charging in and pushing the price higher. And the story of a green candle? Well, it's the exact opposite of a red one, a complete mirror image. This time, the battle opens at the bottom of the body. Then the buyers rush in, full of confidence, and drive the price up. By the time the round is over, the price closes higher than where it started, at the top of the body. That's a solid victory for the buyers. Okay, so we've met the individual soldiers, we know what a red candle means, and we know what a green one means. Now let's put them side by side so it becomes crystal clear. This is where you really start to speak the language of the market. This right here breaks it all down. A red candle tells you the sellers are in control. They opened high and pushed the price down. It's all about selling pressure winning the day. A green candle, that's the buyer's story. They're in charge, opening low and pushing the price up. It's all about buying pressure taking over. It really is that simple. Okay, now this is where things get really interesting. We can read individual soldiers, but what happens when they start forming patterns together? Some of these battle formations are incredibly powerful signals, and we're about to look at one of the most important ones out there, the engulfing pattern. So, how do we spot a major shift on the battlefield? What does it look like when one army is just completely overwhelmed and the other side is about to take total and complete control? This is it. This is a huge signal. It's called the bearish engulfing pattern. Look at how it plays out. First, you get a small green candle. The buyers have a little bit of strength. But then, look what happens next. A massive red candle appears. It completely engulfs or swallows the entire body of the previous green candle. This is a powerful sign that the sellers have just seized momentum, and the trend could be about to shift down. And, of course, there's the flip side, the bullish engulfing. It's the same story, just in reverse. You see a small red candle, which means the sellers had some control. but then it's followed by a giant green candle that completely consumes the previous red one. This tells us the buyers have stormed the field and are now in dominant control. It's a huge signal that the trend might be shifting up. So, the main takeaway here is this. Whenever you see one candle's body completely swallow the previous one of the opposite color, it's a huge sign. It's like the battlefield scales have just tipped dramatically. The balance of power has shifted and a new army is in charge. And honestly, this is the really cool part. Once you train your eyes to see the chart not as just a bunch of random lines, but as a series of these little stories, the seller's story, the buyer's story, their battles, you can't unsee it. It changes how you look at a chart forever. You've just learned a fundamental piece of the market's language. Every single chart, every single day, is telling an incredible story of this fight between buyers and sellers. The question is no longer if you can understand it. Now you can. The real question is, are you ready to start listening?